Hey guys, and welcome to part 3 of our Hello Fall Paper Pack mini album made with paper bags. If you need to see part 1 and part 2, I'll have them linked below. There's a supply list below. The supply list is kind of growing because I'm using things as I go. So I'm sorry about that. I can't give you an exclusive or an all-inclusive list to start with, but I'm doing my best. Okay, when we left off, we had created this piece for our front cover. We had attached this ribbon to our bags, and we created our back cover. In the meantime, I went ahead and attached my back cover because I needed to do kind of a test run to show you guys how to do it. So I've got it ready to go, but we're going to attach the front cover exactly the same. So this is how the back goes, okay? And I'm going to show you how I did that so that the front goes right here. Now, to save paper, here's what I have done. You're going to need a strip that covers this section here that is 4 3/4 by 8 1/2. The interesting thing about that is if you'll cut this down to, this is a 12-inch piece of our paper, okay? If you cut this down to 4 3/4 and then by 8 1/2, we're going to use this piece and this piece we cut off. That's going to become our binder. This is going to help us in measuring too. We won't have to measure this piece out. So let me show you what I'm going to do. This piece I've already cut down to 4 3/4. Now I'm going to cut it to 8 1/2, just like this. So this will cover our book page. This will be our binder. So no more measuring or anything like that. It's ready to go. So for this, to make it super simple, this is going to be the piece of the binder that sticks up, and it's going to glue just like that. So what I'm going to do, no stress. I'm going to fold this in half just like this, and then I'm just going to bone fold it down. I'm not even going to pull out any fancy tools or anything. I have this bone folder laying here. Done. So our binder piece is ready to go. This piece we just need to adhere into the book. Now what this piece is going to do is it's going to hide that ugly ribbon and make this page look really cute. See how that just cleans it up automatically just like that? It's also going to be what holds our binder to our front cover. So I'm going to glue this down. I'm going to show you what I did. I want this to stay on this ribbon really, really well. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of sticky tape, and with one I'm going to cover this edge of the ribbon, and with the other I'm going to go right in front of it, and I'm just going to stick these down underneath that page we're fixing to put down. So those can just stay there for a minute. Our page we're going to stick down, I'm going to cover with the sticky tape just like we've been doing the whole time. So that'll be one at the bottom. Then I'm going to remove all of this protector's backing here on all 3 of these pieces. And then I'm going to add another piece to either end, just like we've been doing. So I've got our adhesive on the back of this, and I pulled all the little white backer off. Now I'm going to do the same thing here with these 2 strips. And yes, this adhesive does stick to fabric. You can see that there. I think it's awesome. And now then, I'm going to adhere this down to this bag, leaving just the tiniest little gap that we cut away. We measured it so that we'd have a little border around here. And then I'm going to work this down onto this fabric. Now, in hindsight, remember, we're making this together. I think I might have put that ribbon, I don't know. I thought about taking that ribbon and instead of putting it here, putting it between the paper bags so that only one paper bag is out. But I love how clean it looks right here. Now this white is where I run some art glitter glue, and I'll show you why I did that. And so you can see that in a second. It'll just dry clear in a minute, but I'll show you why I did it. But I think in hindsight, I probably would tuck that in between the bags. Maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe I'd put it on at this point. After I've already, I don't know. I think I would do something different, but it's still going to be pretty when we finish, so I'm going to let it go like that. All right, here I need to put adhesive onto this so we can stick this together, and we will have our covers on our book. This album has a lot of hindsight because I'm making it as I go. You guys say you like to see that kind of stuff, kind of how we think things out, and I think it's fun to just get started making an album and see where it takes you. So I hope you're enjoying this process and knowing that, you know, our ideas are not perfect, but you know what? It's just paper, and it's just ribbon, and it's just paper bags. And I'd rather you try it and make a mistake than have never tried it at all. Fair? I think so. All right, so I've released the backer on half of this piece that is our hinge, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and adhere it down to this piece, and I'm just going to line it up on that edge of that paper that we just laid down. So that's going to be what holds our cover on. And I did use a lot of adhesive. I'm trying to cover this whole piece basically. I'm going to bring this guy and remove the adhesive. And now we're ready to put our front cover on. Now you want to make sure you have it laid the right way, because I almost messed up just then. So my front cover is going to lay this way. I'm going to line this up to the edge of that. And I can kind of feel where it's at because my fingers are on either side. And I'm just going to lay that down onto that piece. And then you'll see that we've now adhered our cover and our back to our book. Oh, well, and our back to our book. There it is. So look at that. We've got our little paper bag mini album all put together. It's super cool, right? Like it? I'm liking it a lot so far. So there we go. All right. I want to show you why I did that. Okay, so I added that little strip of art glitter glue right here. I just took some wet glue, and I just, where that paper met that fabric, I just took and ran this bead of art glitter glue down, and to be honest, I was too impatient to let it dry. So that's why it still kind of looks a little messy. But I just ran that bead down. I'm going to run another one here and let it sit and dry. I just ran that little bead down because I thought, you know what, it can't hurt to have a little bit of flexible glue right there just as a precaution or just as an extra. You could probably do that with hot glue, but the reason I didn't is because I think this will dry clear and you won't see it. So what I'm going to do, give that a little squish like so, and I'm going to sit that aside and I'm going to let that dry overnight, and we'll come back and keep assembling our book. So just a quick recap, we have our covers on, our bags are all assembled, we have everything in here and ready to cover. So we're going to start adding pretty decorative papers. You know, we did the covers already because we attached them with the decorative paper. But now we need to work on these guys. So I'm going to show you and tell you some measurements, but don't worry about remembering them. They'll be on the blog post. You'll have all your measurements. So we're going to cover these flaps, these inside pieces, and these pieces in decorative paper. Okay, so here's a sample piece. I cut this piece down to show you what's going to happen. These pieces are going to mat onto all of these other spots in the book. So when we finish, the book's going to be very colorful and very pretty because we're going to use all of our decorative paper. The cool thing about using a paper pack for this is that you don't have to worry about, are the papers going to match? Because we're using a paper pack, the papers are already coordinated, they're all going to work. I know you worry a lot about the design. I hear that from you guys about how to pick papers and things like that. Well, for this part of the game, I go pretty willy-nilly, and I'll show you what I mean. So I measured this flap, and it is 4.5 by 5 1/4, and it gives me a nice little matted area around that piece. When I head over here to this side, this is not exactly perfect for this area. It's a little bit of a bigger mat that it's leaving, but I like that I can cut the same size decorative paper and not have to change my measurements by 1/8 of an inch. I don't like to do 8s. I try to keep you guys from having to do 8s because they're hard to measure, and I try to keep everything at the 1/4 or the 1/2. So that's what I'm going to do. Even though this one's going to have a little tiny bit bigger mat section around it, we're still going to do it. It works fine. So when you're doing this and you're thinking, this one has a smaller border and this one has a bigger border, that's why. We want to keep it simple. So this one being 4.5 by 5 1/4, you're going to need 16 of these. So we're going to cut those in just a second. Then we're going to work on, not this section, sorry. Then we're going to work on this section, matting this section. For here, we're going to do pieces that are 4.5 by 8 1/4. Again, I'm trying to stay away from the 8s. They're not going to be perfect, but they're going to look really nice. They're going to be nice and clean on here. And I'm going to do full long sheets instead of breaking it up like this. I'm going to give this plenty of place for decoration. I want to be able to put anything I want here, so I'm not going to break this up. If I want to come back and add strips of paper or anything later, I can, but I want to have lots of room for photos in these sections. So 4.5 by 8 1/4, we're going to need 6 of those. So let's start cutting. That's one thing I like. I love that we're going to be able to do a lot of the same size. Now, if you're making your own album and you're doing it in your own dimensions, just measure those pieces and just decide how many you need before you get started. All right, all of these pieces are usable pieces for what we're doing. The reason I know they're usable is I have pulled out the ones that had the sentiments on them, so I don't have to worry about, am I going to be wasting paper? I'm not. I'm going to keep those sentiment sheets aside, and I can pretty much just take this paper and start to cutting. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my cutter out, and these pieces that I'm going to cut are 4.5 by 5 1/4. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch strip off of this 12-inch paper, just like so. I'm going to put that leftover aside. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4 twice. So here's my first one. And then I'm going to cut another one at 5 1/4. Now what I've done here, by the way, not wasting this, I'm going to save this. I might want to use it later in the album. What I've done is created 2 of my 16 pieces. And I don't have to have them matched because I'm going to flip one over. So I'm still going to have different patterns, but now we have 2. Let me show you what I mean by that. So if I bring my album back over, and let's say on this page, I want to put this piece here, and then I want this piece here. Even though it's one piece of paper, we got 2 mats out of it because we're using the front and the back side of the paper. Okay, so let's go through. So really we only need eight different pages to give us the 16 pieces. Let's do it again. This piece will do front and back. So I'm going to cut it at 4 1/2. I look at my measurements over and over. I have them written here, and I check them every time. I'm not just willy-nilly running through and guessing. And then I need 5 1/4. And I'm going to do that twice here, and then also here. And so remember, now I get 2 different pattern pieces. Even though one looks like this, I get this. Okay? So now we have 4 of our 16. So I'm going to continue with all the pieces that I have and see what we end up with. So throughout my process, I've discovered something. If I keep doing this the way I'm doing it, I'm not going to have enough paper because I've taken a 4 1/2 strip off of all my leftover paper and made myself these pieces. So here's what I'm going to do. Where I originally thought that I would do 8 1/2 inch pieces here, or 8 1/4, I'm going to change it to be this 7 1/2 that's left over, and then I'm going to do a decorative border in the middle to hide it. You have to think like this. This is the building of a mini album. So I'd never sat down and planned this ahead of time. Remember, we're building this together. So here's how I'm going to change it. So I don't waste this piece. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this one in. I'm going to cut it to 4 1/2 because that's what I need for the length. I'm going to move this aside for my other pieces. I'm going to turn this and cut it at 5 1/4. So I've still got those pieces that I need that are the same size we started with. Okay. Then I have this piece left over, which I could use as that binder piece. We'll see. I'm going to put them aside for that. Then this piece I just did, I need to cut it to 4 1/2. This will make sense. I'm going to show you why. I want you to kind of see the process. Remember, you can measure and do all that all you want to, but when it gets down to it, we're stretching one paper pack into this album. So now, instead of this being 8 1/2 inches long, it's going to live like this. And then what I'm going to do is take advantage of a border punch and make myself a little piece to go here to cover this and maybe have a decorative border along one edge. So let's see if this piece is going to fit now. That one's too small. This is the piece I had left over. It'll be close, but it could work. But I think I'm just going to use this to put myself a little decorative border here and here and still let these work for me. So there's one of those. So again, on this piece, I'm going to cut 4 1/2 this way. Okay. I'm going to have 5 1/4 this way. Save this for later. Come here and cut this at 4 1/2. I still have paper left over that I can use, but I'm trying to get the most out of this piece I can. So now we have 2 of our 6 because we need 6 this size. And we have, I don't remember how many so far. 1, 2, 13. So we need 3 more of these. So I want to show you. I have my 16 pieces here for those mats. Those are ready to go. Okay. I have 5 pieces for my pages, but I need 6. I'm actually short 1 piece. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to remedy it. Okay, this is what's left from our decorative paper. I have these little strips, these, bunch of this size. I'm going to be able to use all of this. I will probably literally use every single bit of this, but I just want to show you what's left of our paper. So you can see I don't have a piece here big enough to equal 1 of these guys. So here's what I decided to do. I'm going to move my scraps aside because I want to use them. If you're using a different paper pack, you may have a lot more paper than I do, and you might plan a little better than I did, and you might be able to use it all. But this is going to work for me just fine. I'm going to take a piece of this. Now, I love this fall bucket list, this autumn days. I love this one right here. But I've decided that I can live without these 2. I know that sounds crazy, but these 2 I think I can live without for the album. So this piece will fit from right here. So I'm going to use this to cut out in this section. So you just need to decide which one of these cut aparts can you live without and get your extra piece from there. So I'm going to bring this trimmer back over. I know I need my piece to be 4.5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and cut 4.5 right here. And I'm not going to worry about length too much. I'm just going to cut it all the way to the end of that card because I'm wasting that card anyway. And then I'll know when I come back the other way exactly where I need to cut to. Now I'm flipping this over into my trimmer. I'm going to line it up at 7.5. And I'm going to cut down till those meet. And that's all I'm going to be taking out of this card, of this paper, because I want to use the rest of it. So see, that's not too bad. I wasted that section, but I can still use all of these guys. And I'm going to have enough paper this way. All right, let's put these in the book. Okay, so in the book, let's take our 16 pieces and start with those. I am going to just be willy-nilly. I'm not going to worry about where these land. I know I have enough because of how I cut them, and I know that they're not going to match. And you know what? If I use the same side of 1 or 2 pieces, it's not going to matter. I'll just make sure they're not in the same pages together. So I'm going to mat this piece here. You can use your sticky tape. It slows me down, especially on this kind of thing, because I can get a lot of these done with the wet glue super fast. So there's that one. Let's put this one right here. This paper is so rich and thick. This album's going to feel very expensive when we're done. Very thick. Okay, then I'm going to open up and do the inside of here. Now, this is cut sideways, so the words are going to be funny. So I'm going to use this side. And because I use that one there, I'm just going to take this and tuck it in here to another page and use it later. Same with this one. I'm just going to tuck it somewhere else. I don't mind if these leaves run all the way through. I just don't want them all right together. Acorns are cute. Let's put them on this side. Because I have that plaid right there, I'm not going to put this one here. I'm going to tuck it down in here so I can use it later, and I'm going to put this stripe right here. Now, in a perfect world, this is going to work out. When I get going, I may have some patterns that are on the same page. It will not stress me. These patterns are going to be kind of just background. I'm not going to stress about that. By the time I put pictures and pretties on here, it's not even going to matter. All right, those are covered. I'm going to skip this section, and I'm going to keep doing these same ones all the way through. I love this plaid. I'm going to give up this acorn for the plaid. I think it'll be pretty here. Let's put it on the inside since I had it on the top of the other one. Yep, I'm going to put this leaf right here. It'll be cute. I love this stripe too. I'm going to put this stripe on the other side. Okay, so a quick walkthrough to show you what we just done. We added this mat. We matted all of the flaps and the inside there. Isn't that cute? We're already getting thicker and richer. I'm just going to flip through and show you how I did mine. They're all different. They all landed in a different spot. Super cute, right? Just like that. So now we can do our long pages. So I'm going to flip this open and go right here. And these guys I'm going to lay. I'm not going to worry about this section. I'm going to come out here to this end, and I'm going to line them up so that I have the same mat or the same border all the way around on this end. And wherever this lands is fine. We'll take care of this later with some pretty paper. Or, I don't know, some kind of embellishment. So I'm going to glue this one down. I love how this album is thickening up. It's already getting nice and full. Okay, so you saw us do these. Now look, I'm just going to run through and show you these guys, which are all covered as well with pretty papers. We still have some work to do to make it really pretty, but check it out. We're getting there, right? And almost all covered. We need to work on these. I think I'm going to wait on those for a second, but I want to address this because I know you're thinking, oh, what are you going to do right there? I have a plan. So we had those scraps left over. Let me look at these. And I think we'll be able to get this out of all of these pieces. Oh, that's cute right there. Because I think that'll be plenty wide enough for what we're looking to cover. So I've been doing some ciphering or some thinking. And I only need 3 pieces right here. So I need one here. I can skip this one, do one here, and then skip the next page and go to the next one. That's all I need is 3. And these are 3 inches wide. So these are going to work. But I think I'm going to pull in another paper to get some separation between them. So what I'm going to do is cut these pieces 3 inches by 4.5, because that's the same height as this. But I'm going to cut another piece to go under it so you can see it really well. And I may even border punch this. So let me decide which 3 I'm going to use. I love this plaid. See if there's a good spot to use the plaid. Not there. Oh, that might be good in the middle because it's kind of solid. So we'll use that one. Let's see which one will work good here. That's not the worst. Oh, this plaid will be cute there. Let's do that. And let's go find the last one here. The trees. I think this plaid will be cute right there. Okay, so those are the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to cut these down to 3 by 4.5. So these are the 3 pieces I chose to be this middle piece here. I'm going to move that up just a little bit. And I got a new punch. So you know I wanted to use it. It's the scalloped scallop punch, which has been around forever. So we're going to use this in a second, but first I need to score these guys. I'm going to score these in half at 1.5 inches, just so they'll bend well. So 1.5 inches is here. There's one scored. 2. This way when I put them in the book, they'll bend like they should. Now I'm going to do the border punching. Now while I'm border punching, I want to talk to you about this. I'm not going to turn these into a pocket. I could make these a pocket by only gluing down the sides, but because of where they are in the book, I think they need to be glued really well down or else they'll come loose. So I'm not going to turn this into a pocket. You can if you like. I just think they're in a bad spot for that. All right, so I'm going to kind of eyeball center this little guy in the punch and then do this little border around the edge. I think this is the cutest border. I'm glad that I have it. We have it in the store too if you're interested in this one. I'm starting to get punches slowly but surely, which is crazy because it's my favorite thing. You'd think I would have had them all along. So I'm going to punch all of these really quick and we will put them in the book. So border punch them and they're going to go right here on the same bend. That's one thing I have to make sure is I put them on the same bend as the binder because I don't want that to get messed up. So let's see, do I want to close this as I go? Yep, I think I'm going to glue one side in, add the adhesive, and then close it down on it so I know it's in the right spot. It may make this a little snug in here, but you know what? It'll also be an extra support. So this guy's going to get glued right here, and I thought about putting another piece of paper. You heard me say that earlier about putting a mat behind it. I don't really think it needs it, and I think it will get too bulky, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use these pieces. They're just decorative, so I think they'll be cute here. So using the score line I've got here, I'm going to lay score line to score line, and I'm going to line this up with my paper just like it should be. And see how it's just hiding our workings? That's what we wanted. Lay this down. I'm going to add the glue to this side. Then I'm going to shut the book on it and let it go where it goes. Maybe that'll help me when we're opening and closing it. Let's see what that did, and I'll put it into place. There we go. So see how that's going to pick up a little bit? That's not a big deal. It's really not that bad. This is actually lifting because of my binding, and that I'm fine with that too. When we get this full and we've opened it 1,000 times, it's going to lay nice and flat as we show it to folks. All right, so there's one piece put in. We're getting there, we're getting there. Let's put this piece in. Now let's address this section. So I want to mat these pieces, and I want to use pieces that are 2.5 by 4.5 to do that. And I'm going to have plenty of these scraps. Let's count how many we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need 8 pieces to mat these. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those from the scraps we have, and we should have just enough for that. Also, if you're wondering where my bow is, I'm going to add it later because I keep laying this open flat. So when I get done, I'll decorate this to the front, but for now, so I can press on it, I'm just leaving it flat. All right, 2.5 by 4.5, and we need 8 of them. I have to show you how much of this paper we're using. Look what I'm like. I can't even use this. I'm going to get rid of that. But look at all these scraps. This is what we have left of our big 12 by 12 pieces of paper. We're really, really using this one. I also have to show you that I got almost all of the pieces I needed cut right. These are 2.5 by 4.5, but this one is 2 1/4, and I'm going to use it, and I'm not going to stress about it because I need it in the album. So here we go. Now we're going to start laying these guys in, and this will be cute right here. So I'll go with that one. Okay, so we have everything covered. We have scrimped and used all of the paper we could possibly use. And I'll say something to you. If you're gonna make this album and you haven't started yet and you don't wanna use every single tiny bit of paper and have to think before you cut, then you might wanna take out one signature. So instead of having 4 of the signatures I showed in the beginning, cut it down to 3 and you'll have little bits of extra paper. We're not gonna have any extra, we're using it all. Okay, so here we go. Let's look through what we've done today. We've done all of this work. Isn't this looking good? This album feels really nice already. This is when I like it because it starts to get rich and thick and you can really feel how, you know, how nice it's gonna feel when you start putting pictures in it and things like that. We're gonna stop here on this one. This is part 3. In part 4, we're gonna make some pull-out tags to go inside of these pockets, and we're gonna start making the little things to go inside these pockets. So that's gonna be super fun too. So I hope you're enjoying this series. This is part 3. It is done and in the books, pun intended. If you would like to see the other parts, so you can start with this part 1 and part 2, I will link them below, but also I will have a playlist of them. So if you want to just watch the playlist, or if you favorite the playlist, it's like saving it for you so you can go back and look at it later, and then you can just see all of them from 1, 2, 3 all the way through. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Also, supplies will be linked in the blog post below. I don't want to forget that. The blog post with all the measurements and everything is listed for you in the description box. All right, I'll talk to you again on Tuesday for part 4 of this guy. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.